Hey everyone, if anyone can see us, we're just waiting for everything to connect.
Yes. Hi, Eddie.
It's taking its time. Let me see. Okay.
There's so much going on behind this. You wouldn't believe.
So, are you okay? All set on your side, Lucia?
I am, yes.
Okay, so we're all live in all areas. Then I'm just going to see that it works. See, okay. I think it works everywhere. Hope you can see us, everyone, and feel free to put your comments. So trying to monitor it on all sorts of places, but yeah, if your comment doesn't get answered, also feel free to send in an email or similar, because we're happy to answer any questions, even if it's not live. But I've got some questions that some people sent beforehand as well. Oh, sorry. No, now we're ready. So anyway, hi Lucia, thank you again for coming, and thank you so much for the interview. And I saw there was lots of comments about people learning new things and agreeing with what we said and having fun. So that's the most important thing, and that's what we're here for, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me here and for doing this. It's always super fun. And yeah, I can wait to answer some questions and to talk about this with you as well.
Perfect. Let's see. If anyone out there wants to send in a question, remember that you can just put it in the chat. So in either, I see there's people coming in at the moment, but yeah, either in Lucia's Instagram or in my Instagram or here in the StreamYard streaming world. Anyway, but yeah, so if you want any questions, or if anyone is thinking about starting a kidswear brand, or any fashion brand, because obviously it's a bit related as well. So please ask your questions. But I will start with one that I had from before. And it is more directed to specifically kidswear and very much you, Lucia. So it comes from Tara. And she is wondering, and I think this is a very interesting question and a good question as well. So when you design, what do you do most of? Like baby wear, kids wear, boys, girls, and what have you seen being more profitable for your kids?
I think the most I have done so far is baby and toddler brands. There are also, there are some brands that include, they want to cover all the baby, toddler, and a little bit older, like until 10 or something like that. But it's always the same issue. If you try to offer the whole range, the whole age range, it's going to be like a bigger project. You have to have different measurements, and the fitting must be well for each size. So I think most of them, they start with baby, and then maybe like the first year of toddlers. And then it happened before that those brands grow with the audience, and then the brothers and sisters of the kids, they start getting older, so they start offering those sizes as well once they are more established.
I think that sounds actually exactly what experience I have from my clients who do kidswear as well, that it's very much often people come and they want like all sizes and all ranges, but then with the advice of the designer, usually stick to a certain age group. I have done much baby, to be honest. So I think Lucia is really a good expert in the baby toddler. I've done more toddler.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I think it's so cute. But I've done more toddler and all the kids. But I do agree with you there as well. If you want to start a kidswear brand, it's really important to niche, like we talked about previously, but also niche down, which I don't think we mentioned, niche down into like age group, because as you said, with the fitting, it's very different how a baby and the grading goes into the baby sizes that goes into the toddler. And then when they suddenly go up from like say 12 to 16, all the growth spurt and everything. It's a really tricky world to enter. So I would definitely say do slowly.
I think it also, the proportions are completely different. If you see a baby, the head is like, when they're babies, I don't know how many times the head enters in the whole size, and then on a more grown-up kid, it's totally different. The same with arms. Babies cannot even do like this, and then
Exactly.
they can, once they're a little bit older. And not only that, I think also shapes and also style. I don't think it's great. It's in an ideal world or in our imagination. Maybe we see, we want a brand for that all brothers and sisters have like matchy items, but then it's like the 12-year-old boy doesn't want to wear like cute bunnies anymore. I'm like a cool guy, and that's why it's you have to consider that as well, because
Absolutely.
I think with prints or colors for babies, they are so pure and everything, and they have mostly these some brands, these pastel tones, and then if you have some boys like mine that really want to play sports and get dirty, then as a mom you will struggle washing that, and you don't want that.
Please don't do white.
No. Or like white underwear, it's like, no, please don't, or socks. It's that's why it's really important to think of all these things. And for me, as being a mother, it's really has helped me a lot to identify those things that before being a mom I had no idea.
Exactly. And I think that's why it's really good, actually, if you do kids wear. If you don't have your own children, definitely get a designer who has children. If you have your own children, all the dramas of white clothes, for example, which is also both of my older kids think it's really cool with white at the moment. It's not good.
It looks great, especially in the summer.
It looks super fresh, but only the first day.
Or the first 15 minutes at the restaurant, and then it's like, no.
Yeah, so I think that's like something to keep in mind, because there's lots of people who actually don't have kids that also wants to do kids products, but then it's good to have that. And also, like, an recommendation from me, if you're doing that, maybe definitely get a focal group together where you can ask them questions just like this,
or your mom friends or dad friends or something like that, or read forums. There are lots of ways, when people talk about focus groups and this, I always imagine like this really edgy marketing agency and coming those people, and it's like, I imagine those moms or those people wanting to start a kids were like, I'm not like that. How would I go on about that, but it's all, you can always ask your neighbors, your fellow moms. I don't know. I think there's always a way to get information.
Exactly. And think about it like, who's your customer? Who is it you're going to sell to? That's the kind of group you're going to sell to. So if you say yourself a school mom and you want to sell to kind of the school moms in your area or similar or your country, like, they probably think similar to you. So maybe ask those parents around you.
Yeah, because I think there are families who and I know them, that you always see the kids like super clean and everything, and always with the t-shirt and with the shirt and everything really clean and neat and everything. So maybe that's their lifestyle, and that's okay, and if they get dirty, but there are others that don't, so it's really, really key to know your audience there. And in terms also, before I forget that part of the question, in terms of profit, which one is more profitable, I think in my experience, there are there aren't many, for example, where I see, I don't know if profitable, but where I see like a huge demand and not so much offer is on boys, like preteen, for example.
Yeah.
You either had like these cartoons kind of thing, or you go to the ghetto
brands already.
city kid rapper kind of stuff for an 18-year-old, and there isn't something that it's like happy and colorful, stating I'm not a child anymore, but I'm not also grown up, and for that in between. I think it's a gold mine there. I think.
Yeah. I actually think it's a good actually gap probably to get into, but you need to consider what they like, because I got a preteen in the house at the moment, and it suddenly has become like brands. But I mean, as a mom, I don't want to spend a fortune on the brands either. So like, it's the balance of finding things that look cool. And like, I can say I spent a whole day at the mall looking for a certain style, which I didn't really understand what it was until I saw it. But and I'm a designer.
And you're a fashion designer. I wanted to say it was like
it has to be black with that certain font. But what font is that? Okay, but we did find it in the end, but it took all day. So yeah, I mean, it's a niche. So maybe someone out there think about that. But that age, I can understand it's hard. So that was actually something I wanted to ask you. Was about like what you had seen in your clients, if they design more girls or boys wear, but I'm assuming that's also then girls wear in general. Or
I think they try to do both. Many of them wanted to do unisex, but then they weren't clear with what unisex meant to them and what meant to their client, because I mean, unisex, you can have or you can offer. Color is a huge thing, especially right now. We've come after years of pink for girls, blue for boys, and unisex is like green, orange, or yellow, or white, or beige. But I think you can do really colorful things unisex, but it's risky. Many people find that risky, because as soon as there's a little bit of pink, they say, oh no, but this won't sell. And it's like, you have to trust your audience, and you have to make it really smart in a way that it's there. For example, now with this light lilac, light purple, that was or still is quite in trend, or this like light salmon, light coral color, that it can be too pink depending on which colors you mix it with. And some people that are really like in a more, I don't want to say antique mindset, but like a more traditional point of view, they say, oh no, that's too girly. And it's like, is it? Okay. And I think that's why unisex, it's really hard to achieve. You have to really know what you mean by unisex, what your customer thinks about unisex, the colors that are a no-go, the ones that are I want that.
Exactly. I think as you say, because if your client is Scandinavian, then that's probably a whole different thing to if it's a Spanish kidswear brand. Spanish kidswear brand. Firstly, I would say every mom who can keep the kids so clean is just like admirable. But like a lot of the Spanish brands, and it is the matchy younger boy with maybe not up to a preteen, but usually like a tiny toddler of 2 and a 7-year-old could wear the same thing. And they use a lot of pastels, even salmon color, I think I've seen, but it's very totally different to like being brought up in Scandinavia. I mean, I was brought up with unisex, bright colors, lots of red and white and blue stripes on boys' girls, prints, with anything. And I think there's like one big brand in Sweden who I so much love, Mini Rodini, and they do the boldest, brightest things, but it's all unisex. It works perfect for girls. The boys can have pink. And I think, it's just more knowing where are you going to sell. And like we've said all along, but there is a market for it, I'm sure, for everything, as long as you know how to find it and market to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was Tara's question. I hope you're happy, Tara, if you're listening. If not, you're listening on the replay, maybe. So the next one, which is kind of related to this. So maybe it should have gone first, but I'm sorry. It's Karen who wondered, what is a size spec? Particularly because I mentioned it in the Q&A in the live interview. And obviously a size specification is like where you put your measurements in that are going to the pattern. So if you have the design and you have the beautiful design tech pack that Lucia creates, and me too, where you have all the details, you have some measurements in a design tech pack too, but you don't have the measurements for the actual garment pattern.
Yeah.
And that's what goes into a size specification. You would have all the measurements, like the shoulder is this long, the cuff is this long, the sleeve length is this, every measurement that could possibly be needed for your pattern.
Yeah.
And then usually in the size specification also graded for the different sizes. So if you're doing baby, it would be like maybe newborn, 3 months, 6 months, 8 months.
9, yeah,
whatever,
9,
yeah.
12, yeah, 18 and 2 years.
Exactly, yeah. So that's and that's debatable if really 18 and 2 years, those are already becoming slightly toddler. So it depends on what type of garments. You wouldn't do maybe a sleep suit, would you, or a romper that goes all the way up to 2 maybe, but you would maybe with a pair of shorts.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the size specification, and I'm sorry if that wasn't clear before.
No, not a problem.
But yeah, they complement each other, Karen. So if you need if you have a design tech pack, it's good to have the size specification too when you send it off to your manufacturer, preferably a critical path and a few other documents, so that you are on top of everything and they know what you want. But a design tech pack is like the most important thing when you start. The other things you can probably find workarounds with, but if you want to be totally in control of your sampling,
and I think more in terms of sizing is that I think, well, at least the questions I get asked a lot is, what sizing system should I use? Like the more European, where they use the length of the baby, you know, the size, the height of the baby, like you know, like 50, 56, 62, 60. 70, I don't know. Well,
it's 74, 74.
It goes like 8,
80
right?
to 90.
6.
Yeah, it's 6. Anyway, we know them.
And there are like size 1, you know, size 0, size 1, or there are also 3 months. Yes. 6 months. There are also double sizes, you know, that many big manufacturers use to cover, you know, you know, sometimes there's a tiny difference between 2 sizes and they decide to that shortens like the costs and everything for production, you know. You compromise because maybe when the baby starts wearing that, it's a little bit too loose or too long. But then you can use it a little bit more. It's good because you can extend the life of the product a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, and then you have like 50, 56, 62, and so on. 68 and so on.
Depends also on where your market is, because when I worked in the UK for most of the kidswear brand, especially for the baby, it was very much 0, 3 months, 6 months, and that type of sizes. In the rest of Europe, it's usually, like you said, a centimeter, and in the US, it's different too. So I think it also think of your market, because your market need to recognize it. Of course, you can translate a European size to an American size, but it is not always just exactly straight over. So then your factory, and preferably your garment technician or product developer who will help you with the size specification, will know what markets you will sell to, because it needs to be taken into consideration when you make the size specification, that you actually put the right measurements, because maybe it will be slightly different. And it will be slightly different for many reasons, because a child in Northern Europe is probably taller than a child in Southern Europe. That's why sometimes you have to buy a size up, because you base it on the general sizing of people in the region.
Yeah.
So keep all of that is that's why, especially I would say even more with kids than even women's, prefer to get your size specification done by an expert. Don't go to a factory and say I want these sizes, because if you go to the factory, ask for those sizes, and then what if they use Asian sizes and you're going to sell in America? It's very different, and they might say we understand it, but you're not sure if you haven't checked.
Yeah.
And on also, that, I actually have worked an example. Yeah. I have worked with designing with a big brand in Asia, but in a certain part of Asia. But the first collection did use factories' size specifications, but they had lots of problems and returns and disappointed customers because things did not fit so well.
Yeah, yeah. Also, inches and centimeters.
Yes.
You know, there's also for fabrics, you know, you have to be really clear, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it doesn't matter if you use inches or centimeters, but as long as, I think the factories are used to using both if you go overseas. If you are producing in Europe, maybe it's easier to use centimeters. If you're producing in the US, use inches. Your designer or product developer will know and will be able to tailor it to whatever. But all of that information needs to be clear. But yeah, very interesting this about the sizing actually. So good one. Actually, I see an exciting comment has come in from one of my clients or former clients. We haven't worked together for a while, but you know I love you. It's from Teresa and her daughter Bella, who has a brand, and their Instagram is Hidden Innovation. So go and check them out. And they are wondering, because they are selling both a bit of branded hoodies and stuff. I designed a cool hoodie for them, but anyway, let's stick to the question. They also do private pocket underwear. So there's hidden pockets in the underwear for medical supplies or secrets that you might want to hide. And they are wondering, so I'm going to read the question. So they're looking into offering their private pocket underwear designed to big manufacturers such as Hanes or retail, some like Target. Any advice in respect to licensing? We have a pending utility patent. So do you want to go or should I go?
I don't know. Let's talk about it. What are your thoughts?
For me, my first thing is like, okay, I definitely think in this case, because it is such a special product, that it is good to have a patent. I think all of these companies work slightly different when it comes to licensing. Some of them probably would be happy to take you in with your brand name and their brand name. And some of the retailers put their branding into it. So I think it will become more or less the deal you work out and how they work. I think as a small company, unfortunately, they probably have more rules already that they will tell you which way you have to go and contact a lawyer to help you with that. But I think it's a really good opportunity to sell bigger volumes. So I think it's a really clever idea. But you could also, I mean, if you don't want to license it to them, you could wholesale it to them. It depends on the company. So some of them would take it wholesale, and some of them will want to put their own branding in. But if you put their own branding, you probably need to redesign. You probably need to work with their designers, or they tell you what they want, and you have to work with your designer to get their design. Because then, if they license, I think they're more in charge than just if you wholesale. You give them a line sheet, they look at it, they go, I like that, I like that.
Yeah, I think I would ask them what is more important to them, that the product reaches like lots of people, or that everyone knows that it's their project, you know. Because if it's the latter, then I would recommend doing wholesale and like do really a collaboration and having their branding there, and maybe different deals. You can have, you know, like a scene on this chain, you know, and I think that would be better. You know, I think that way you have more control than if you license it and you give them all the tech packs, everything. I think, you know, if they don't like anything, they change it, and if the contract it's not clear enough, maybe they change something that for you is really important, or the quality of the product, or some lines, or everything. So in that case, and I imagine being like a really personal brand, you would like to be able to be proud of that and to expand and to show different experiences. And that's why I would recommend to do wholesale and talk to them and explain a little bit about quantities and that kind of stuff.
It's always about the relationship at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Whether it's with your sales channel or your manufacturer or your marketing department or whoever you use for that. I mean, it's always about the relationship. But I do think as well that if you license, you, like you say, you lose a bit of the design power, and I mean, no one will come in there and know that it's yours unless they let you know that you can put your name on it. So I would before I went into licensing, probably also recommend go wholesale. There's so many wholesale channels, and there's also wholesale actually marketplaces today, like Fair in the US, where you as a brand can register. I mean, with a few criteria, and you have to have quite a few retail stores already, but it's a way to get your products in front of boutiques and larger companies as well, and they can come and purchase from you. Exactly. It's like going to a trade show, but you don't have to have the expense of the trade show or do the hard work beforehand. I mean, you still have to do the hard work. I'm not going to lie. You always have to, whether you're in a marketplace or you're at a trade show or you just contact companies directly, that part of the pitching, as we would call it, will never go away. Whether you're a designer and you want work, you need to pitch. Whether you want to sell your stock to a shop, you need to pitch. Whatever you do, you always need to contact people, and you need to reach out to many people before things start happening. And the more things happen, the more people will say yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So agree. Cool. So they say great advice and thank you, and we're very happy.
Thank you for the question.
And I also see that some of our friends have just joined as well, Ruth and Petra. Hi, we miss you. Okay, so see if there's anything else. No more questions there. Any questions there? I have one more question from emails, but if anyone has anything, please send it now, because otherwise we'll do the last question and round up. So I'm giving you a 5 minutes chance here to send more questions if you have
them. Don't be shy.
Exactly, don't be shy. We love this. We have so much fun. So one is from the last question I have got. I left to the end because it was the same strategy we had in the interview, but it's from Lucy. And she wanted to know a bit more about, because she has what did she say? Yeah, she has a little more handmade brand that sell on Etsy, but she would like to go into larger manufacturing. So she wanted to know a little bit more about Spoonflower and how you would, as a designer, wanted to be contacted if she wanted your patterns.
If anyone, you mean like she wants to...
she wants to buy them, but I'm assuming...
to produce the fabric, but with a manufacturer.
Exactly, yes, exactly.
Well...
or if you have any other ideas or ways to do it, but she's using fabric from Spoonflower now.
Yeah, that's actually a good way that many, not only kidswear brands start, but it's a great way, because, you know, otherwise, if you don't have that, and this is part of the question, but you would have to purchase a license that you know, allows you legally to produce fabric, print fabric, or produce items with that particular design, you know. And for some startups, it depends. Nowadays, there are designers that don't charge that much. They don't know really the value of their work. There are others that might be more experienced, or they are more confident in how much the print is worth. You know, a print can make it or break it. You know, it's easy to say that as a textile designer, but you know, sometimes people buy the product. It may be like a piece of clothes or a book or a cover or a notebook or whatever, just for the print because it caught your eye and it's like, oh my god, I have to have this, you know. But I lost the track. Okay, yeah. And then, sorry, I got excited with the print. No, and then and then you really need to purchase a license, and it will depend on the artist. You know, many say no, this is standard pricing, but those standard pricing are set on really low standards, which is really bad. And I think you always want to have a good conscience and work with people that know their worth, that they're not like really working hard to make prints and suffering. I don't know. I think it translates to the work. And then the approach, like reach out to the designer and say, okay, you know what? I've been producing handmade goods with this print. I love it, but I'm ready to scale up my business and my manufacturing process. And I am, you know, and I would like to take this fabric or this design to my manufacturer. Do you do that? Some don't. You know, how much you charge for that. It's important also, if you do it beforehand, it's better that you ask your manufacturer, if you already have the manufacturer, that you ask them particularly the way they're going to print, if it's traditional or digital, and the kind of file that they need. Some need PDF, some need the working file in layers, maybe like Illustrator or Photoshop. Some of them, they're okay with a flat file, JPEG, PNG, GIF, you know, and once you have that, you can give that information to the designer, and that will also vary the price normally, you know. And some people might say, well, but the design is already done. How comes it costs so much, you know? But like I said, it has to do with the value that artwork
and
has.
a loss of income, I guess, from yours. If you would sell it outright, then it's a loss of income because you can't license it from anyone else. And if you license it, it's still, in a sense, you can't license it to maybe that area or that product type.
Yeah, and of course, if you want to be the only one in the world having rights to that print, then it will cost a lot more, because the designer or the artist would lose on money from licensing otherwise. Or if you don't want anyone on Spoonflower to have it anymore, she or he, or they have the chance to take it down, but they will lose money on that part. So they should be compensated for that. And in the end, you will be also having your own income from that product sale. And and for those who don't know what licensing is, it's like leasing a print. It's like renting a print where you say, okay, I need this for 1 or 2 or 5 years. And then if I will sell, ideally you already know, okay, I will sell only in the US or only in that country or worldwide. And these are all things that impact the price of the license.
So if just if say someone came to you and said, I want this too, but I'm going to do a small production, say 50 pieces for, what are we going to say, baby romper. But I've been doing them handmade, so I've been paying your meters price on Spoonflower. But please, Lucia, what would you suggest I do to use your print? Would you suggest a licensing for that area, like baby rompers, or could you even do like a a deal where you can buy a certain meterage cheaper? Is there any ways on Spoonflower to do bulk orders or more wholesale orders?
I think it depends. If they have many designs, on Spoonflower you can do, you get a bulk discount, I think from 10 meters, and it can be like 10 different prints. Well, if they want to do like 60 rompers, they probably need a couple more of the same, but I think you can either do that, like keep going on Spoonflower, because the license, like the license fee is included in the price. Because many said, well, but Spoonflower, it's like, I don't know, I think the cheapest fabric is $23 per meter. They go like, oh, that's salty, But on the other hand, you have, if you want to do it with your manufacturer, you have to pay extra for the license and then shipping costs, and I don't know. It really depends on the quantity, And in the end, you have to ask the manufacturer. You have to see on Spoonflower or any other company that does that, and you have to do the math. What makes more sense?
Yeah. Sounds good. So talk to your manufacturer, talk to the designer who designed the pattern if they are willing to part with it in any way.
Most of them you can message them through Instagram. Through Spoonflower on the internal. Most of them also have their Instagram profile, so you can contact them or the website. There are many ways to contact them. And last time, I think it was last week, I also got like a question from a potential customer, and she wanted to. They had a certain line of products, and they wanted to try something new, and they wanted to do a small batch, and they were asking for licenses. And then I said, well, actually, for that quantity, it makes more sense to go on Spoonflower. They were like, let's say bows, for here or for here. And then it's such a tiny product that it makes maybe they wanted to do 60 or something like that. So it makes more sense. And I could have said, well, you pay the license and you can take it anywhere, but it doesn't. I don't know.
No. In that sense, the most financial right for them was to buy it from Spoonflower, because it would cost me more to get it.
They didn't know Spoonflower, so I told them, and they were like, "Oh yeah, this totally makes sense," And
sounds good.
And there are tons of designs there, like tons.
If you haven't been on Spoonflower, go check it out.
Yeah.
And go check out Lucia on Spoonflower if you do. On the Dainty, right? But, well, I think that was great. And I think we've had some great questions, since there's no more that has come in. And I'm still on the coast, so I want to go to the beach.
Oh, that's great.
So the last week of beach. So I'm going to round this off. But first, before we go, I wanted to ask you, Lucia, because I know you have a free PDF guide. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yes, absolutely. Well, this guide contains the 10 questions you need to ask yourself before starting a kidswear brand, a baby or kidswear brand. Most people, when they have this idea and this dream, but they don't know anything about the process. And they come to a designer maybe with an idea, but they haven't thought of certain things. So I think those questions are really important. Once you have those, you take a notebook and start brainstorming, start looking for examples of different kinds of brands. And then by answering those questions, that will move the needle and bring you lots of clarity in terms of your project. And I would love for you to have that for you.
That's amazing. I'll put a link in the chat. I'm going to put it here over on Instagram too in a second. I'm also going to say that, do you want to say your Instagram is Freelance Kidswear Designer, so it's easy to find? So go check out Lucia there. And also we're putting a link for Lucia's website, so you can see her services if anyone is interested in like having one of these lovely calls you do. And I also wanted to say, just from I'm putting some links of mine as well, because I've got a free manufacturing guide. So since we talked quite a lot about manufacturing guides, if you want that, go that. Also, if anyone wants to learn more about the design tech packs, and I think you should before you even go and get a designer, so you know what you're talking about and what you need. I have a course on that, which I also put the link to. It's only $39. It's not like anything more. It's just to learn what you need to include, and what's really good, because it has my proven strategy that works for small brands, because sometimes you could include too much information and your factory will ignore it if you're a small brand. So check that out too. And I think that was it. That was all from us. And we've had good fun. It's been so nice to have you, Lucia.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really fun talking to you. And I had lots of fun.
Good. And thank you for everyone who's here and everyone who's joined. And there will be a replay for anyone who signed up through the link. So if you didn't sign up through the link, they're still in the emails we've sent out, and they're still on my Instagram. So if you want to do that, there's a fly here, sorry. If you want to do that, then just go sign up, and you will get a replay as well, both for the Q&A and for this. For the interview and for this. This is the Q&A. I think I really need to go to that beach now.
Yeah, get some fresh air.
It's been a long day. Okay, but thank you so much. And
thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. And I will be back with more interviews during next month. So
awesome. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
And before I go, I'm going to put the links in Instagram. So everyone, stay tight.
Don't forget about that.
One more second. And there we go. They should all have gone. So now you have all the links. They're coming in the emails too. So bye again. And
thank you. Take care.
Bye. And yes, I need to turn this off. Sorry, guys. But bye.